So glad you're here. Let's get going. I'm Kennedy. The daunting specter of a President Trump is looming on the horizon. So what would the Donald do on his first day in the big White House? Let's ask my wrinkle-resistant party panel. Tonight it's Katherine Timpf. She is the correspondent on the Greg Gutfeld Show and also writes for the National Review as a reporter. Charles Cooke is here, author of the Conservatarian Manifesto, also a writer for National Review. And Julie Roginsky rounds out the party panel, Fox News contributor and a co-host on Outnumbered. Welcome, everyone.
Not of the National Review. I feel a little left out.
Oh, there's still time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Charles needs a writing sample and a blood sample. And
give the blood sample tomorrow.
Sample size.
Sample size.
You're good to go.
What do you need a sample size of?
So let's go around the table. What would Donald Trump's first day in office look like, Julie?
It would probably be at I prefer to think of it as the last day of the beginning of this country. I mean, it'd be the end of the country. I don't know what it would look like.
It's the apocalypse.
It's like apocalypse.
Like Johnny Depp.
There'd be like 4 horsemen. Is that how many people are in the apocalypse? I don't know my Bible too well. Yeah. Well, I think he's going to go after Jeff Bezos and take away all of his Amazon rights to shut down the Washington Post. I think he said today he was going to go after CNN and pull their charter, whatever he called it, the FCC license. So I don't know. He's going to shut down free media and you know, so a bunch of other stuff he doesn't like.
Man, I hope Fox Business is safe.
I don't. Well, I don't.
Just start saying nice things.
Depends how mean we are to him today. Otherwise, we're all done.
Yeah, done. Thanks for coming. Here's your audit.
I think I'm definitely.
And don't let the door hit you where the Lord split you.
Audit. That's like the best we could hope for.
I don't even know her. So, Charles, I know that you are a fan of the presumptive GOP nominee. So, what does his first day in office look like to you? Roswell, well, what are we getting? The Zapruder film, the missing.
Worried as I am about Donald Trump, I think he would probably build on a lot of the executive building that has been done by Presidents Bush and Obama. But he'd also
concentrating power in the highest office in the land.
He may repeal some of the things Obama's done that I don't like, but he would do it in a way that I don't like. But a lot of his first day would be him running around Washington saying, I want to do this. And the establishment there, which he purports to hate, saying, well, actually, we can't do that, Mr. President, for these reasons. And then he would go to bed feeling a little bit chastened, I think. I don't think the system can be...
And that's where executive order comes from. It acts as a salve for bruised egos and feelings.
Well, that's certainly one way of putting it.
Thank you.
I don't think that he would destroy the country. I think he would damage the country further, and he would do great damage to the right.
Well, also, I'd probably be deported back to Russia, and you'd be deported back to England, despite the fact that we're citizens, because I get that.
I'm not a citizen yet.
Oh, you're not. Oh, you're
you're actually getting deported back to Russia.
I'm a citizen, not to brag.
Doesn't matter. I am too.
You're going back to England.
Deport you back to Michigan.
Yeah, everyone goes one
back
step.
Back to Michigan.
And Michigan's seceding, so congratulations.
Yeah. Well,
so what does it look like?
I mean, I don't know what he's going to... I don't think he's going to do anything, right? He's going to hire people. The best people
with beautiful mouths.
He's going to tweet. He's going to talk. I don't think he really wants to be president. I think he wants to win because he likes just winning stuff.
Yeah, you know what, though? It's interesting you say that because Hillary Clinton, we talked about this last night, she doesn't want to be president either. So she's putting Bill in charge of the economy.
Right. Yeah. She criticized Trump's plan.
So maybe he'll put, maybe Donald Trump will put Melania in charge of defeating ISIS because she's got a great accent.
I understand why Hillary Clinton said that, because the 90s were a good time and Bill Clinton is popular.
I understand that too.
I understand
and people want him to be president. They don't want her to be president.
But it is the most embarrassing thing for the potential first woman president of the United States to say,
I'm going to rely on my husband because I can't do it.
If you elect me, my husband will run the economy.
No, you guys are missing the point. He's the most popular elected official in the country. People want him back.
We get that.
That's really saying something.
It says to me that she thinks that he is some sort of talisman, and if they put him in the right seat at the right time, the economy will start moving again.
At least just ask him for advice privately.
Did he?
Yeah. And you have great thinking alike minds. All right, well, in a recent interview, Governor John Kasich ended speculation that Donald Trump might bring him on board as his running mate.
Look, I've said all along, I have the second best job in America.
So Donald Trump called you up today and said, look, you got to do this. You got to do this for the country.
No, I'm not inclined to do that. It would be very hard for me unless he were to change all of his views and become a uniter for me to get in the middle of this thing. Because, you know, I'm undecided here about what I'm going to do in this race.
Oh, someone's still chafing about those sloppy eater pancake comments. Kasich also said that he is not contemplating a third-party run against Clinton and Trump. Should never Trumpers keep up the search for an independent candidate or make peace with the two-party field? I'm going to throw this one to you. Bill Kristol has had this idea that he's going to pluck some perfect conservative out of the ether that we haven't seen yet. Are you still smoking Kristol's meth?
So I think that the third party run and its viability depend upon what you want to achieve. If you want to win, it's a terrible idea.
It's not going to happen.
If you want to preserve the right and the conservative movement and its integrity, it might not be such a bad idea. It's the same reason National Review came out and said we are against Donald Trump. It's not because we necessarily expected it to work. We hoped it would work, but we didn't necessarily expect it to.
It didn't work, though.
No, but the main point, the overriding purpose, was to let people know this is not what we stand for. So that if this all goes down in flames, which I imagine, in fact, even if it doesn't,
you're on the record.
Well, it's not about being prissy about it, but so that we're on the record and say this isn't what we believe. We are separate. We are discreet.
But it's kind of like when you're on a date and you're picking a movie, and the person's like, I don't know, Captain America could totally suck, and they give themselves cover unless instead of really investing in the idea. So, what do you think? Is there the possibility that a third party, fourth or fifth party run could change the race?
Well, it would change the race, I guess. I think that we're already going to have people voting third party that wouldn't have otherwise voted third party, maybe libertarian or elsewhere. But
President Gary Johnson, he's just a few months from his administration.
He's going to be president.
I'll say
he's going to be president. This will change it for everybody. It's like you said, it's more about the preserving the integrity of the party. But the thing is integrity just doesn't seem to be in right now.
No, it doesn't. No. Integrity, establishmentarianism, and plaid. Last word, 10 seconds.
Well, has Bill Kristol, who I love on a personal level, has he ever been right about anything? So Bill Kristol tells me he's going to find a candidate who's going to defeat Donald Trump. We can start inaugurating Donald Trump tomorrow. Love you, Bill Kristol, though. Nothing personal.
She loves you so much, Bill. Great teeth. Coming up, Bernie Sanders looks like he might have a very bright idea for Hillary Clinton's running mate. Bernie Sanders. Oh, hi. I'm glad you're here. Julie, look at that smile. It's authentic, like Bernie Sanders. And earlier today, Senator Sanders' campaign manager, Jeff Weaver, said the senator and Hillary Clinton are, quote, helping each other. What a symbiotic relationship. And don't want to provide ammunition to Donald Trump in the general election. Is Bernie Sanders hoping for a plum gig as Hillary's running mate? Our party panel is back to discuss. It's Katherine Timpf, Charles Cooke, and Julie Roginsky. So, I don't know why I said your name like Katherine Hepburn. Yeah, totally. The loons, Julie.
Like the spiders from our, yes. Go ahead.
So, Bernie Sanders, in his own way, said that he's kind of open to being Hillary Clinton's running mate. Is he open to it in the way that a lot of people are open to ecstasy and swinging?
All of us are open to that, aren't we? I mean, or by open, you mean have done it repeatedly and without any...
This morning.
Just this morning, the three of us were doing that.
That's a party panel.
So I think Jeff Weaver is open to continuing his retainer that he's been collecting from Bernie Sanders. And since the party's going to probably be over in a month or two, he needs a plan B to get him through November. Listen, I think Bernie Sanders has been served very poorly by his own staff, and I think he's been served very poorly by his own beliefs, which is in serving his own constituents very poorly by making them believe there's a path to this nomination. There isn't. If you're really serious about defeating Donald Trump, let's back it up and go home.
The FBI primary still to come. Who's going to get all those delegates? No one really knows. What's more important for Bernie Sanders, actually being her VP or continuing to move the party leftward in his image, like that sculpture of Lionel Richie in the Hello video?
I don't think he'll be the VP, but I do think that if he were the VP, he'd be in a good position to move the party leftward.
I think there's a lot of people who want him to be the VP.
Right, but also he'd be right next to her and able to push policy left. One of the things about Bernie Sanders is...
caress her cheek.
That's right, or constantly. If in the Oval Office, it'd be like 1998 again. But the problem with Bernie Sanders is that until he ran for president, he actually did very, very little about getting his politics enacted, or even just as a didactic exercise.
Maybe he's excited. Maybe it has ignited this nascent narcissism.
That's maybe true, but my point is that having done pretty much nothing for his entire career, if he then goes back to Washington to be a Vermont senator, how much leeway is he actually going to have?
Oh, he doesn't care. He's just going to be on the federal dole for the rest of his life. Why work hard when the government's going to pay him?
Party to the left. I think
yeah, he does. He does want to move the party to the left. Has he really done enough? I know that his campaign manager is saying that he and Hillary are in a way protecting each other from Donald Trump for whoever's going to be the nominee. But has he really done enough to stop her, especially when it comes to Bill Clinton's record?
He hasn't done anything in terms of Bill Clinton's record, really, hardly. He's trying to be the nice guy. So, especially because he's a guy and she's a woman, I think. But his supporters, a lot of them still hate her so much.
Yeah.
So if he were the VP, which I don't think he will be, that'd be so interesting to have people that really hate the president but really love the VP.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you vote in that
it.
situation?
She could not handle, because it would be 4 years of constant adoration for him.
Yeah.
I think even Joe Biden has emerged from this administration as really the only likable figure.
I love him so much, and I wish he were here right now.
Thank you so much, Party Panel. They are returning a little bit later because TS lines are longer than Milton Berle's resume. And
please don't knock over my heart, 'cause my heart is full of you. Yeah, my heart is full of you.
Little Mike Snow there. Woo! And it's the Run the Jewels version. It's a great song, and you are great for being here. I always appreciate it. If you're flying off to a nice vacation this summer, get to the airport 2 or 3 days in advance because TSA lines are getting even longer. Sunday night, American Airlines had to roll out 450 cots for its stranded passengers who missed their flights because of backed up security lines. TSA representatives have blamed staff reductions and passengers bringing too much stuff. Our party panel is back, Katherine Timpf, Charles Cooke, and Julie Roginsky. All right, so Charles Schumer has this big idea that you should just have drug dogs in TSA lines, and they can sniff out everything. You can leave your shoes on, you can leave your liquids in your bags, and that's cool. Does Charles Schumer finally have a good idea, other Charles?
I think he might. I don't think our post-9/11 security apparatus is very good. I don't think it does a great deal.
They protected the plane from my too much lotion. I don't know. Pretty important stuff.
It would be a crime against the world if your legs were any more moisturized.
Oh, thank you.
They are too smooth.
They're very smooth.
They are.
We
Yes?
have a we have a theatre now.
Yeah, we do.
In each airport. It's a cliche to say so, but it's borne out by the facts. And of course, it's going to get bloated because government gets bloated and needs to justify itself.
Well, I mean, they are kind of colluding with the White House saying there just aren't enough of us. You need to hire more TSA people. Yeah. Have you ever seen, there's usually like a dozen TSA agents just kind of standing around with their blue gloves.
They are standing around. That's a good point. I just flew
playing
the other
grab
day.
ass.
Yeah, I don't know about grab
Pardon
ass.
my language.
But
Pardon my language.
They are definitely standing around. But,
Yeah.
you know, we have record numbers of travelers now, and I think they cut the TSA by about 10%. So, you know, supply and demand. No wonder people are
Well, they
waiting.
also
Oh,
thought that-
come on.
Here we go.
Whoa.
It's not supply and demand when the government is going to forcefully assert itself to try and solve
They
a
get
non-problem.
busted all the time spending money on stuff that there's no proof that it actually works.
So my point is, have you guys ever flown through Israel? Because they do it in a very different way.
I don't need to fly through Israel.
No.
The
they do
government reports that they've wasted hundreds
No,
of
not
millions
that, but the
here
way
and
they-
there on
the
things that
way-
no scientific proof of work.
But the way, right, because the way the Israelis
No,
do
I'm
it
in
is
Israel.
they'll come and talk to you online to make sure you're not a terrorist.
through TSA.
What kind?
I think it's bubble gum.
Yeah, that's what I was
Facebook's chief executive, Mark Zuckerberg. He's meeting with 15 prominent conservatives this week, including Glenn Beck and Fox's Dana Perino, as part of an effort to remove fears that the social network is squelching right-wing stories. Charles, I'm going to go to you first on this. Is it real, and who cares?
Well, I think it's fine to care about it. It's a private company. People use it. They're consumers. And if Facebook has been doing this, then it's annoying because Facebook hasn't admitted to it.
They're curating stories. They've got an
Right, and they
algorithm to select stories, and then there's a human there who goes, ew, nope.
And if they're doing that, they should just say so. Of course, the moral high ground was immediately taken away from those who hold that position when Senator Thune on the Science Committee sent them a letter asserting congressional authority where he doesn't have it, and said we're going to start looking into hate you, which is far, far worse than whatever Facebook is
I
doing.
agree completely.
agree.
Yeah, so is that what Mark Zuckerberg is doing? Is he heading them off at the pass if this were a proverbial digital Western?
Well, Mark Zuckerberg's always tried to be the guy who's above the fray politically because he's Mark Zuckerberg.
I'm donating $100 million to Newark schools.
He was hanging out with Cory Booker and Chris Christie, if you remember when he did that. And so, like, you know, he's been trying to be bipartisan. But I agree with you. What Congress is doing is ridiculous. They're a private company. If I am my private company, want to sit there and malign Republicans all day long, which is what I do for a living, Congress can't really investigate because that's what I do for a living.
No, I mean, I honestly don't care what they put in their news feed.
Although,
and if people get their news
I
from
actually
Facebook,
think it's the most important issue of our time.
Thank you,
Very, very serious.
They should be honest.
I have
about it.
written articles before that did not go viral, and it's because of the lamestream social media.
Anyone that doesn't go viral is Facebook.
Is because of their lamestream by liberal bias.
I blame Priscilla. That's Mark Zuckerberg's wife.
oh.
Yeah, I
Queen of
think
the
she's
desert.
secretly like, if she is the queen of the desert. If Silicon Valley is a conservative desert, if there's no oasis of conservative thought, then Priscilla is the queen. I don't know if that's
Very
true.
deft.
Well, Charles, I'm nothing if not a deaf town. Or a deft one. I always get that
All the
wrong.
Deftones are with you.
They really are, and they should be. Bottom line, should we sue Mark Zuckerberg and audit his Fed?
Shut down Facebook. Just shut it down.
yeah.
Shut it down. Congress needs to step in. This is a national
Executive
crisis.
order.
Charles
Executive
Schumer
order.
needs to bring the dogs to Facebook and sniff out the
I
truth.
understand Congress obviously has nothing else to worry about. This is now put out the big issue of our time.
Yeah. Party panel, thank you so much for being here. Julie, Charles, and Kat. What a way to spend a Tuesday night. I love it. Coming up, another love of mine. Dr. Ron Hall joins me with his solution to fix our economy by ousting the people meddling with it.